Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Learn to Fix Your Bike at Home from Southern Explorers MTB Group Bangalore. I'm your host Narasimha.
And I'm your co-host Palguni.
Today we're going to teach you how to bleed your Shimano hydraulic brakes at home.
Let's do it!
Let's do it.
So what is brake bleeding?
So brake bleeding is the process of removing any air that might be there in the hydraulic fluid in your brake system.
Okay, so why is there air in my brake system?
So we don't know exactly for sure, but whether there is air in your brake system. But air does get in over time, in hydraulic brakes, due to some minute amounts of air coming in through the seals of the maybe the reservoir or the calipers. And it's a good practice to bleed hydraulic brakes every once in a while.
So what are some signs that my brake requires bleeding?
So if there is air in your brake system, you will feel that the brake levers are quite mushy, or it might just collapse all the way without exerting any resistance on the brake pads. So that's a good sign that there is air in your brake system. Okay guys, so here are the tools and parts you need to do a brake bleed. Firstly, you will need an Allen key or the appropriate type of screw removal tool to remove the cap of the reservoir, at the top of your brake calipers. Then you need a funnel into which you would be filling the brake fluid, which will finally drip down into your brake system. And you need a plunger that goes into the funnel, okay, so that you can start and stop the bleeding at will. And of course you need the brake fluid, the appropriate type of brake fluid for your brake system. So Palguni, what's the problem with your bike?
So as you can see, my 10 brake is working just fine, but my back brake is not working. Right?
That's right. So the lever is collapsing fully, and if you give the wheel a spin and you try to brake, it doesn't work, right?
It brakes very
very, very left, right?
Yeah.
So this is a classic symptom of air in your hydraulic brake hose, right? And if you see here, this is the port from where you're supposed to actually fill the hydraulic fluid.
Okay.
And you can see that the cap to the reservoir is actually missing, which is also kind of lending to the theory that it has run out of fluid, or there is air in your system, because it looks like some of the fluid has spilled out.
Yeah.
And when exactly did this cap fall off?
I think it's been a week or two.
Yeah, and what happened?
So I crashed.
Oh, that famous crash on the trains
Yes.
when we were riding together, right?
Yeah.
So that's when this cap fell off, and likely some fluid has spilled out, and that's why you have these mushy brakes. And I think we have some other problems also. Somebody tried to put a bigger screw in here,
Yeah.
and that destroyed the whole. So
We got that.
yeah, we're just hoping that the the brake is not fully ruined by trying to put a wrong screw in here on the reservoir cap. So first we'll try to bleed these brakes and see if it works, and after that we'll try to close this cap, this hole with a makeshift cap. Okay, so as we just saw, this is the brake that we need to fix. We need to try to bleed it and also try to put a cap on this reservoir here, just to show how it actually should be, right? If you see on this side, the front brake is actually working fine.
Yes.
And it's not damaged, and this is what the cap looks like. It's a really small cap, and this is, I think, like a 2 mm Allen key which goes in here, and this is how it's a very small delicate cap. It's just to keep the fluid in and keep the dust out, right? So this is what cap actually looks like, right? So since this brake is working, it doesn't require any bleeding, so we're gonna just put it back here. You can just thread it in by hand first, and then use the Allen key to tighten it. You don't need to tighten it a lot because it's just a small cap, it's not a load bearing member. Okay guys, so now we're going to try to bleed this brake. Unfortunately, we cannot screw this funnel in here as it should be because the threads are blown here, and also the hole is made a bit wider. But Palguni here will help to hold this down firmly, okay, into this hole so that the air doesn't leak out.
Done.
Okay, don't press too hard, otherwise it might damage the funnel. So we'll just hold it here, in a stable way, and then we will pour this fluid in, and then we will start the bleeding process. Okay, now is the moment of truth.
You did open.
Oh, okay. It's fine, it's fine. He can cut it out later. You can keep it deliberately just to give a chance for us here to have a laugh.
Okay.
So we just put some brake fluid in here. Okay, it won't leak right now because the plunger is still in.
Okay.
The moment I pull the plunger out is
Then
when
it's
it's going to go in. So now we're going to hold it firmly and pull the plunger out. Okay, and then the fluid will start going in. Can you zoom in here? Okay, so now some fluid is leaking out. Okay, fine. We just want to make sure it goes inside. Okay, so what we are doing now is to see if we can
get the air out.
release any air bubbles that may be stuck, right? It can be stuck anywhere. Right, so we just do this. Unfortunately, I cannot show the bubbles coming out in the reservoir. I mean, in a normal case, if these threads weren't damaged, with the funnel screwed in here, you would actually see the bubbles coming out in the fluid. Right now, it's not possible because that funnel doesn't sit here firmly, and it leaks fluid all around the place. So right now, we're going to just try to release the air bubbles like this, hoping for the best. And we're going to put the funnel back and try to pour in some more fluid into it. Okay, so yeah, we didn't use the plunger this time, so we're just directly pouring the fluid in. Now continue to tap the cables like we were doing earlier, right? Yeah, it is becoming tighter. You see, this
It's becoming tighter.
Yeah, the lever has actually become tighter, but I also see that fluid is leaking out from the side here of this reservoir. You can see there is some fluid leaking out. It is definitely not coming from the interface between the funnel and the reservoir. It's coming out from somewhere else, and you can see it's dripping down. So it does look like the reservoir is damaged somewhere, and this bleed may not last, because whatever excess fluid is going to get stored in the reservoir is going to get spilled out because it is damaged somewhere, and you can see it dripping all over the place. And I am holding the funnel down firmly. So okay, so we did demonstrate today that the brake bleeding actually worked, right? So just to show you, even in this particular system, it was out of fluid, and since we have filled in the fluid now, you can see that the rear brake now actually works. Now you can slam the rear brake, and you can see that the actuation of the lever is also there is a lot of bite in it. It is just that this may not last because there is a crack in the reservoir somewhere, and there always needs to be some excess fluid in the reservoir to keep the air out. And if that excess fluid leaks out, then there's a higher chance of air getting into the actual brake system. And the other last part that we still have left is that we don't have a screw to close this. So probably we might just use the same screw that ended up damaging in the first place, because we don't have any better option, and we might just put some rubber seal around it.
Done.
So how does it work?
It's awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. We're glad that it works now.
Yeah.
But as we showed, during the repair, there is a damage in the reservoir and it's leaking the fluid, so it may not work forever. Nevertheless, thanks for watching, and I do hope that you learned something today, and see you in the next one, and stay sexy.